All right, folks, welcome to the bye week edition of our weekly Lions pregame show. Of course, there is no game. I'm here in the Province Newsroom. I'm Patrick Johnston. I'm here with Lowell Ullrich. Lowell, good to see you.
Yeah, indeed.
It was an interesting day on the weekend. Of course, the famous guaranteed win night that did not turn into a win. It's been called a success in some quarters. I think there's been some questions about that. There were 33,000 tickets. Was it a success, Lowell?
Hey, you know what? I think this market needed to be sort of jolted a little bit. I think that what Dennis Skulski did was probably something that the Lions needed to do. I mean, it just hasn't been a banner season from a revenue or from our aesthetics standpoint. So yeah, I thought it was rather a bold move, to say the least.
This is a team, of course, that is still above the 500 mark. This is a team that has won this season. It's not like they're struggling. They're in a difficult division. But in terms of going forward, they're playing Ottawa next week. They're going to a beautiful new stadium there. Going forward, is the mood positive?
Yeah, the Lions had their sort of exit meeting before the bye week on Monday, and Mike Benavides told the team, he said, you have a lot of reasons to be positive. You look at the schedule, the next 6 weeks are really all winnable games for the Lions, and I think they have really, with a little bit of offensive tweaking, no matter who their quarterback may be, I think they really have an opportunity to really get on a roll like every other team in this division already is.
That's something you mentioned last week, and you wrote about again this week in the province, is there is this question at quarterback that Travis Lulay is ready to come back. I mean, what do you think are we going to see next week? We won't know till Sunday.
No, we won't, but I fully expect that the Lions are going to make the transition that most people thought that was going to happen maybe a few weeks earlier. I mean, Kevin Glenn had won 5 out of 6 going into that game. He loses, so therefore I think the opportunity presents itself for Travis Lulay to get back and be the #1 starter. He certainly has shown some signs of rust, as might be expected, but at the same time, you know what? It's his team, and it's it's time for him to take it over.
Just with the extra time off, obviously the team will benefit. You look at someone like Andrew Harris, who's been out injured. Other guys as well that you got to believe are going to get rest up. Kevin Glenn, who limped off the field. Just who do you think is going to benefit the most on this team?
Well, I think Glenn probably does, because he has had probably the most sustained injury situation. He's had a thigh problem, he's had a knee problem, he's had a toe problem. So he's pretty much run the gamut of lower body injuries, I suppose you could say. That's probably a big plus. And even though we're talking about Travis taking over the offense, we are going to see, and I think the Lions are going to still need Kevin Glenn at some point in this season. So there's no point in saying that it's not an insignificant break. It's a superior time for the Lions. Andrew Harris, as you mentioned, 8 carries for 11 yards. Obviously, people will say that his ankle was a bit sore. I don't think that was a problem. I think Glenn's probably the top of that list.
And then, of course, Tim Brown, another big week for the little returner, and he managed to find himself in the lineup.
Mike Benavides was sort of challenged this week when we asked him. I said, is Tim Brown forcing your hand to keep him in the lineup? And he kind of repulsed with his response. He says, he's not forcing my hand. He has to be in the lineup. And this is another feather in his cap. There's no way you can take him out of the lineup. Now the Lions are just going to have to be more creative with their roster juggling. Brown, they've had like 624 return yards in 2 games. That's astonishing. But they only have 1 win to show for it in those 2 weeks, and I suppose that's the kind of niggly point that goes on here. But Tim Brown has certainly worked his way and deserves to be in the starting lineup.
In the end, it will come down to being able to actually score some points and make things happen in the rest of the game. I mean, special teams is exciting, but it's not the whole game, is it?
No, it's not. And the Lions, I think, probably, if anything else, need a little bit more of a little more spark on their receiving core. There always seems like we're talking about that the last couple of years. And Manny Arsenault signs a contract extension on during the bye week or a couple of days ago. You want to see more from him. I mean, should be a 100-yard a game receiver, and when he's shut down, the Lions' offense suffers.
All right, folks, that'll be it for this week. We'll see you again next week. Jonathan will be returning. We've also got the podcast, and of course, always check back at provincesports.com.